Hello and welcome to a live pop culture on Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. I am one of your hosts, Keri. I'm here with Mystery Chris, my co-host. Hello, Mystery Chris.
Well, howdy, Keri. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really actually excited and happy to be here tonight. I know you have a slight headache, but I'm feeling good.
Very good, very good. Uh, I have a story, but if you want to give me updates first, you can do that, and then I might get into my
Updates.
story.
Let's see. Well, give it up for our mods. Pirate Tomsky's in the chat, and I think I saw Two Sisters in Some Yard. Yes. And I haven't seen Cheeky Mary yet, but give it up for those guys. Um, if it's your first time here, this is a live show that we do on Wednesdays where we pick a topic, not always a current event, actually, most of the time, not a current event. We pick a topic related to pop culture and ideology or just um, something to do with, would you say, somewhat educational? Like the Art 101 one was very educational for me. And we just do a live show about it. So, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, please hit the like button if you like it and consider being a donor. We have a subscribe star, a locals, and a Patreon. That was not smooth. None of that was smooth.
It's a live show.
But I got through it. I got through the announcements. Oh, wait. And one more thing. If you're in the Texas area, I was just say the whole state, April 15th, I'll be hosting Minds. And Minds is having Minds.com. They're having another free speech conference event, better discourse kind of thing. And it's going to be at the Vulcan. And they're going to be speakers like Jack Posobiec. Daryl Davis is going to be there. Also, Ian Crossland from Timcast, Luke Radowski, and I'm blanking, Peter Boghossian. Eliza Blue has pulled out. She's no longer speaking
What?
at the Free Speech Conference. Yeah. And then there are going to be performances by comedians and musicians. I believe Timcast is performing music. I'm not sure. That's what I heard, but then I didn't see him on the site, so I'm not sure. But I do know Jamie Kilstein's doing comedy, and they're still adding people. So if you're in the Austin, Texas area and you want to come on April 15th, I know some people are traveling here for it. I'd be very excited to see you. So that's all.
Awesome. Well, yesterday I alluded to something. I told you I was going to save it for air because I wanted to get your reaction on air. But this actually ties into tonight's topic. I was reported to the HR department of my company again for a joke.
What?
Would you like to know the joke? You could tell me if this is worthy of being reported to HR department. So
I cannot believe this is the second time you've been reported.
Oh yeah. So for my job every morning, project leads will check in with one another. There's like a project management kind of meeting, and people give updates on where they're at with their task. And we rotate leaders of the meeting. And at the beginning of the meeting, someone asks, a question that serves as a check, like a roll call question. And so people usually ask stupid questions like, "Oh, if you could be a dog, what kind of dog would you be?" That's dumb. And so I asked this. I go, in honor of Black History Month and to celebrate Black voices, which of the following rappers had the greatest funky fresh rhymes of all time? Vanilla Ice, Eminem, Kid Rock, Marky Mark, or the Beastie Boys?
Wait, they're all white.
Exactly. Somebody did not like this. They were offended for some reason. I have no idea why.
They were offended?
Yes, they offended.
Oh my goodness. What was that meeting like? Did you laugh your ass off when they told you what it was about?
I told my boss. My boss is like, do you understand why some people might be uncomfortable? I'm like, no. I'm
No?
like, so they made me reread the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion documents. I was
No.
re-educated, Keri.
Oh no.
Yes.
Did you come out a new man with a new
I
mind?
realized the error of my ways, and I love people except for white people. But no,
Did you not tell them Did you not notice I'm black?
Apparently, it doesn't matter, Karen. I'm the only black dude on this call, and everyone else is white. And I guarantee you, some white lady who got upset on the behalf of black people for some reason.
On behalf of black
I
people.
guess they thought I was making light of Black History Month, which was kind of was. But
Yeah.
still, it's just a silly joke, and the whole joke rests on irony, and the irony of a white person getting
Right.
upset at that and reporting a black dude to HR is just apparently lost on them.
That's so dumb. So you had to reread the diversity, inclusion, and equity bullshit. What else
Yeah.
happened? Did you get any kind of punishment? Like, or is there any kind of thing on your record or anything?
As far as I know, I don't know if there's anything on the record, but yeah, they just made me reread that, and there's just said, "Don't let this happen again." I'm like, yeah, whatever.
What?
It's so stupid, and it's just it pisses me off too, especially considering that we've had several diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings where loads of presuppositions about racial identity and race, in general, were being made, that were being presented as axiomatic, that you're not allowed to question. There is no invitation or people who disagree with the way they are characterizing race, particularly white people, because they talked about white privilege and all that, the same shit, And so it pissed me off so much, just knowing that they don't, and I know they don't care about this, but it's still frustrating. You see it and you're, involved in it, knowing how little they actually care about, tolerance, and how much they don't care about inclusiveness and all this other garbage stuff they spew. And it's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating. You know what you should have said to them in the meeting?
Hmm.
Or what you should do at the next one of these things where it's your turn, is you should say, if you guys liked my Black History Month joke, you're gonna love my Women's History Month joke, like next month in March. And then you should do something similar in honor of Women's History Month. Which
Part
of
of
these
me,
iconic
yes.
singers, and then have all the options be male, like Billy Joel's. Wait, who sang the song "Always a Woman"? Like, pick song titles about women, but all by male artists, and see if you get
I
called back
should.
into the
I
office.
probably would. Part of me just wants to as a middle finger, but I'm like, I don't want to get fired, so I'm pushing it. But still,
Oh, what? I am so sick to my stomach that you have to work there, but it's gives you good stories,
yeah.
alarming, and hey, eventually, thank you guys for the super chats, because one of these days, I have faith we're gonna make enough revenue on Deprogrammed where I can hire Mystery Chris full time, and he can help make funny videos for the channel, instead of going DEI trainings.
I can say all the racist things I want. It'll be great.
Not what if I called you into my office?
You're the HR department.
HR department. Someone on the Deprogram team was offended. And
wait, it's only us two. Like,
well, his name starts with Pi and ends with Irit.
oh, that pirate.
But seriously, thank you for the super chats. GJJ gave a funny one, $2, says Beastie Boys is the answer. The answer to your question.
I chose Marky Mark because he's also part of Funky Bunch. It's in the name.
Oh man. Pirate Tomsky, £5. Thank you, sir. Says equity, yo, things so equal that everyone dies. Yeah. The one black guy gets pulled into the office. This was offensive.
Yeah.
To who?
It's
black people. I'm the only one here.
doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense. I don't understand. And that's the frustrating thing too, because like with all the diversity, equity, inclusion training, never do they differentiate between what's a reasonable and unreasonable claim of offense. And so typically, as you know, it's all based on the person's identity, which here I guess don't really matter too much. She's probably a white woman. She's still a woman, so she still has that position, that privilege. Yeah. And so it's very frustrating because it opens up the door to people abusing that system. Yes. And that's one of the things I would love to point out, because if I was a terrible black person, I would start claiming everything is racist. I'd be like, hey, when you refer to the day after Thanksgiving as Black Friday, well, that's racist. You are associating a day that has negative things happening in it, and that's an empty, materialistic holiday with Black people. And we are better than that.
If you were a opportunistic person with bad character who happens to be Black, then yes, you could take advantage of the system. And I'm sure plenty do, and plenty women do, and plenty gay people do. There are people with bad intentions who can take advantage of this stupid ideology.
Yes,
I
it's a cheat code, Keri. It's like putting in Game Genie or some cheat code in a game. And you can automatically advance yourself up the corporate ladder without actually having to do the work.
Yeah. One of the comedians I used to represent in my old life, he told me this story. It was so funny. He worked a day job when I first started working with him. And and it was like a corporate kind of thing. He told me this story about how he didn't show up for work one day. I can't remember why. Maybe he was hungover. Maybe he had a show the night before. He was trying to keep it a secret that he was a comedian because he didn't want them to know that that's what he was doing, moonlighting, and why he would sometimes come in late. Anyway, he didn't show up for work. It happened to be Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but they didn't have it off at their company. And when he came in the next day, they called him in and they talked to him like, hey, his supervisor was like, hey, notice you didn't come in yesterday. You've had a lot of absences. And he totally played that card and was like, well, it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And the guy's like, yeah, but that wasn't an office holiday for us. And he's like, it is for my people. And the guy's like, okay. Like, okay.
But see, that's what I want to do, though. I want to say, hey, it's part of my culture to say these things. And you believe in honoring other people's cultures or respecting them, you have to go along with whatever I'm saying.
Yes, you should do that. Next time they call you in for something and you're going to be called in a third time. You really have to do that Women's History Month joke. Next time you get called in, you should say, it is part of my culture as a Black person to make off-color jokes. And you're trying to fit me into whiteness. You're trying to make me conform to whiteness, which is oppressive. And I will not work in this hostile work environment.
This culture is so screwed up. Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh, my husband's here. Give it up for Anthony Garcia Music, guys. He says, or accuse them of racism for segregating you from the rest of the group as the only Black person. Yes. Am I the only person you called into the office today? Yes. I noticed I'm the only Black person too. Coincidence?
Sending me to HR is like my ancestors getting whipped. Each time it's like a whip on my back.
They would shut up. Like they would not.
They're paralyzed. They don't know what to say.
Woke white people, that's all you got to say. They're like, I'm sorry. Can I get you water? Oh man. Thank you for the super chat. 2 sisters and some yarn. $2 says for Mystery Chris's therapy bills over his HR scandal.
Thank you.
And Pirate Tomsky for £5 says, pirates believe in equity. We murder and pillage everyone.
It's true.
Equally. SC Degrand earlier said, I'm offended on behalf of white people, Chris. Just so you know. And then I thought this was funny also from SC Degrand. 6 months from now, wow, no longer a mystery Chris, actually turned out to be pretty damn racist once the gloves were off. That's you when
accurate.
When you become unshackled and can say whatever you want. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you, but also it was funny. So thank you for telling me. Yes. I'm sorry to laugh at your misfortunes.
Yeah, it's okay. But just like America has laughed at Black people's misfortunes, Keri.
Okay. I get it. The Black guy is shackled. If we had an HR department at Deprogrammed, I'd be called in for that one. That accident. Okay. Why don't you set up our topic tonight? which is you came up with the best name, cancel culture body count. That's tonight's episode.
Cancel culture body count. Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about all the people and products that have been canceled in the last few years. I got this idea because recently there's been some controversy around Roald Dahl. He's the author of Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory, and or is it Charlie and Chocolate Factory? I always get. I think it's Willy Wonka because the first movie changed it. Anyway, author of that book, author of Matilda, James the Giant Peach. Well, and we have an article about this, but apparently the publishers of his books are going to change the language in some of his novels because they're for some reason insensitive or offensive. So even words like fat, like you would think there would be like harsh words, like if you use like the N bomb or something like that, but like fat and stupid, they're changing the way the Oompa Loompas are described because the Oompa
Oh my
Loompas are like
gosh.
from like the jungle or something, and that's somehow racist or something. But yeah, this NPR article goes into it a little bit, and it's also interesting too the reaction to this because I've noticed a lot of mainstream press are actually against this. Like they're saying like, this is ridiculous.
They're saying
There's
this is a step too far.
yeah, there's like a CNN article. I didn't click on it because I don't give CNN clicks, but they in the headline were saying like it was like I forget the exact language, but it was something along the lines like it was silly, it was
It
ridiculous, and
is
things like that.
silly.
I just thought it was interesting from mainstream sources, which normally would either be on the side of people pushing that
Yes.
censorship or they just wouldn't address it either way. But when they're taking that stance, some of them, that this is going too far and ridiculous, I just think it's interesting. It may be a sign that things are turning.
Yes. Hopefully so. Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, please just read a little
Okay.
bit.
So this is a headline from NPR for anyone who's just listening. Changes to new editions of Roald Dahl books have readers up in arms. Arms is offensive. Change arms. New editions of legendary works by British author Roald Dahl are being edited to remove words that could be deemed offensive to some readers, according to the Late Writers Company. Dahl wrote such books as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, and The Fantastic Mr. Fox. British newspaper The Telegraph first reported that the publisher of Dahl's books, Puffin, made hundreds of changes to original texts of the author's well-known children's books. The character Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is no longer called fat. Instead, he's described as enormous.
Isn't it worse?
I'm sorry, that's so stupid.
Yes.
This is like when somebody told us we can't say master bedroom because it makes
Yes.
people slavery that you have to say owner's bedroom. Isn't that worse?
Master dress, slave dress.
Enormous. Okay. Instead of being called small men, Oompa Loompas are now small people, the article says. Further, the changes to these books, and why can't they be men? If it's
I don't know. Weren't they all men? At least in the
they
movie.
were
Right?
men, yeah. It's discriminatory towards women who want to be Oompa Loompas. Gotta be small people, Oompa Loompa people.
Offensive to Snooki. Remember Snooki?
Yes, Snooki,
Yeah.
Oompa Loompa. Oh my gosh, enormous. That's so funny. Okay. Further, the changes to these books include adding language not originally written by Dahl. In his 1983 book, The Witches, he writes that witches are bald beneath their wigs. According to the Telegraph, an added line in new edition says there are plenty of other reasons why women
Look, you're cracking up.
there's a little asterisk in the book now. There are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. It's so stupid. Oh man, I'm sorry, I'm laughing too much.
No, it's hilarious.
Can you imagine if every book got edited this way? Like
Yes.
every book. I mean, think of Salinger, the what is it? I can't think of the name of his book now.
Catcher in the Rye?
The Catcher in the Rye. I mean, just think of how many things they'd have to put an asterisk in, like the publishers of this book don't agree with drug use, or like every
People shooting presidents? Yes.
president. There's plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. Okay. Puffin and the Roald Dahl Story Company, which manages the copyrights of Dahl's books and works with publishers, didn't respond to NPR's request for comment. But the Roald Dahl Story Company told the Associated Press that it worked with Puffin to review the books out of a desire to ensure that Dahl's wonderful stories and characters continue to be enjoyed by all children today. The company said it worked with Inclusive Minds. Okay, look at the name of this org. That's a red flag already.
Yes.
Inclusive Minds, an organization that works for inclusivity in children's books.
Oh, is that so? It's
Whole
in the
bunch of
name.
evil going on there.
Must be true.
Changes. What?
Oh, so it must be true. It's in the name.
Must be true. Changes were, quote, small and carefully considered. What are you talking about? It said hundreds of changes. And also, you're changing the words of this author who's passed away, and you're putting words in his mouth that he didn't write. This actually kind of, I know it's really funny, but it sort of makes me furious.
Yes, it should.
It should, because you're editing this person's art after they're dead. You're there. It's I mean, it's something about it. It's just it's sacrilegious in some way. That's what I want to say. It's like, you can't do that. You can't edit someone's art like that.
Yeah.
And he's not even
Completely
alive to say, get your filthy hands off of my books.
Mm-hmm. It's like, could it get to the point where there's so many edits to books like this where they just start putting other people's names and just and the original author's name just gets smaller and smaller, and eventually it's just gone. It's just a PR committee's names all on the book.
I mean, they could edit anything. Like, imagine them after J.K. Rowling is dead. Imagine them in the new edition of Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a black trans girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could do anything. They could edit anything, and that author's name is still on it.
Yeah.
This is
rewriting
awful.
history. Yep.
Awful. I'm glad that, like you said, lots of people are upset about this, not just the usual free speech advocates. The changes have drawn criticism from advocacy groups, readers, and writers. Suzanne Nossel, CEO of the free expression advocacy group PEN America, called the changes alarming. Yes, Suzanne, they are alarming. Quote, amidst fierce battles against book bans and strictures on what can be taught and read, selective editing to make words of literature conform to particular sensibilities could represent a dangerous new weapon. Yes, it is a dangerous new weapon, Suzanne. Those who might cheer specific edits to Dahl's work should consider how the power to rewrite books might be used in the hands of those who do not share their values and sensibilities. Isn't this always the case? These people, these authoritarians, these people who, these tyrants who are okay with censorship and propaganda and rewriting rules, they never think about, like, once you've set this precedent and you've given this power over in this way, just like, what happens when the person with the power doesn't agree with you? You've already set the precedent.
Yeah, they're only thinking about themselves and the immediate benefit.
Yeah. It was really funny, but it's also really upsetting. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you want to bring up that second article real quick, and we don't have to read the article. I just wanted to show some things in it because it's kind of interesting in light of this news about them starting to edit his works.
Okay, this is a New York Post headline. Unwoke Roald Dahl books listed at $7,000 include Ugly, Fat, and Female. So unedited versions of his novels are now being listed for as much as $7,000 on eBay because they still contain the original words like fat or ugly.
Is that crazy to think about? It's
Oh yeah, look, it says they removed men when they describe Oompa Loompa because they're trying to make them gender neutral.
everyone could be an Oompa Loompa.
Oh my goodness.
Surprised they didn't keep that, because it's not like Oompa Loompas are people that kids want to aspire to. There's like these goofy little creatures, kind of funny, but I would think that these people would like that, having small men that are not powerful. They're just little weird creatures. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the leftists are, I mean, I had a friend today tell me the leftists are orcs, okay? And they're trying to tell us that orcs are beautiful. And actually they are. Apparently recently in Lord of the Rings circles, they're trying to reimagine the orcs as beautiful, which is not what they were. And my friend is like, that's because leftists they know they're orcs, and so they want to make themselves, they want to say, like, present like this is beautiful. And in some way, the Oompa Loompa makes sense. They're like, hey, you should aspire to be this Oompa Loompa. It's actually sexy, kids. It's cool.
That's
And
what
they're
they think
gender
of
neutral.
themselves.
Yeah, and they all look the same. All of them. They all look the same, and they speak the same, and
I don't like the look of this.
and they all do, they're good little cogs in a machine working for the state.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. A couple of funny things I saw in the chat. Night Train says, ugly, fat, and female describes my ex to a T. And Davina Duckworth, hello, Davina, says, it means they can rewrite the Bible. When you start changing language, nothing is sacred. Yes, absolutely. They could rewrite anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yarn motivated, Joyce Swenson, $20 super chat. Thank you, lady.
Hey.
Thank you so much. Okay. What else you got on your list?
I had I don't know if you wanted to bring this up now or later, but I had some articles that listed episodes of various TV shows that are being removed or have been removed by the streaming services that they're on because of offensive content or insensitive content. And I see which is the best.
Is this the every blackface episode that's been removed?
I think, let's see, which one was the best? Try that one. I think that's the one.
Okay.
I should name these better.
I should say, if you guys stick around towards the end, I made a video that Mystery Chris hasn't seen yet, and I hope it's pretty funny. We'll see.
Oh, I hope it's so racist.
Okay. Every blackface episode and scene that's been pulled from streaming so far. This is a Vulture headline. As the Black Lives Matter movement has launched a reckoning in Hollywood over institutionalized racism, it has also sparked a debate about whether anti-Black tropes and imagery in movies and TV should be censored, disclaimered, or removed from streaming libraries entirely. This conversation extends well past Song of the South and Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind is one of the big on my, top 20 most egregious censorships, woke cancellations, Gone with the Wind. Like going after that classic, right? So here's the list. 30 Rock. At Tina Fey and Robert Carlock's request, and with NBC Universal's approval, 4 episodes of 30 Rock have been removed from streaming, digital rental, and TV syndication. Believe in the Stars, season 3, episode 2. After Jenna and Tracy, played by Tracy Morgan, decide to swap identities to determine if white women or Black men face greater prejudice, Jenna appears in blackface. Wow. Taken down. Live show, season 5, episode 2. The East Coast version of 30 Rock's first live episode featured John Hamm getting a hand transplant from an executed Black man and a fake Fox News chyron that read, exclusive interview with Kenyan liar, referencing the racist Obama birth conspiracy. Oh, so they took that out because John Hamm got a black hand transplant.
But aren't they making fun of the Fox News crowd? Like that, of course. But then that's the
It
thing
does
that's
kind of
frustrating. Yes, exactly. That's where it's going. Because with the vast majority of these blackface incidents, we'll call them, most of them, the context is that the people doing it are either they're portraying a black person and they're not poking fun at all black people, like making fun of black people or saying stupid, it's a particular black person. Or in the case where it's like straight up blackface, like charcoal black and the white lips and stuff, it's from the point of view that this character is racist, the character is a terrible person, and not that they're agreeing with that or saying that this is a good thing and black people need to be made fun of in this way, but that context is completely missing. And I feel like a lot of people are choosing not
doesn't.
to look at that context because they could understand they want, because I've always said, like, there's a firm difference between poking fun at people even when you're using stereotypes versus being mean-spirited and malicious. And I think most people
Yes.
historically have been pretty good at knowing where that line is, because there's been so many comedians I've seen over the years that would make jokes about black people, and they'd always point out how the black people in the audience were laughing the hardest and the white people were looking around not sure if it was okay to laugh, because the black people understood that this person wasn't being racist, like George Carlin, Robin Williams, Artie Lang, Zach Galifianakis,
Right.
Louis C.K. Like, they've all made these jokes that when I was watching, I was laughing my ass off because it's hilarious. But today, people just don't want to even try to understand where that difference is and understand that context. And it's just maddening.
They don't want to understand the context. And it's interesting because we live in a culture now that would say, hey, there's nothing wrong with white chicks where two black guys wear whiteface. It's totally fine. But any white person wearing any type of blackface or black costume or what have you is always completely wrong. There's no context in which it's okay, except if they're on the left. Then all they have to do, as we see here, Tina Fey apologize. They have to apologize, and then they have to try to make some kind of amends. Like in this case, they took down 4 episodes, and then it's fine. Nobody's canceling Tina Fey because of this. They're not going to cancel her.
Right.
But they did, she did the obligatory apology. Now, if she had been someone on the right, it wouldn't be enough to make an apology and take down the videos. Like, then it's like, you're done in this town,
And I actually
Like,
have an article we can bring up a little later and briefly talk about it, where Marlon Wayans talks about white girls and how he feels that the movie couldn't be made today. Because even though he's a black guy playing a white person, he's still playing a white woman.
right.
And so there may be people looking at that and saying, making fun of trans or whatever.
Right. Okay, so just to get through this, these are the 4 episodes of 30 Rock that were removed for blackface after Tina Fey made her apology, right? Here's another one. It was called Christmas Attack Zone. Jenna again wears blackface while dressing up as Pittsburgh Steelers star Lynn Swan. And then live from Studio 6H, John Hamm appears in blackface in a satirical spoof on Amos and Andy. I think the real question here is how many leftist shows and comedians and performers enjoy wearing blackface? Because it's like, I mean, you got a whole show here, Tina Fey, 30 Rock. 4 episodes feature blackface. It's kind of a lot. Like 4?
Always Sunny has them beat. They talk about that in here too.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Community. Netflix and Hulu removed 1 episode, season 2's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, because Ken Jeong's character Ben Chang appears in full body black paint. In the episode, Chang claims that he's dressing like a dark elf or a drow, while his fellow classmate Shirley calls his look a hate crime. Again, context makes this funny, but they don't care about the context. All he has to do is apologize, they take it down, and then Ken Jeong is fine. Scrubs. At the request of series creator Bill Lawrence and ABC Studios, Hulu removed 3 episodes of Scrubs. All 3 episodes featured white characters in blackface. What is it with Hollywood? 3 episodes of blackface on Scrubs? My Friend the Doctor, where Zach Braff's character JD fantasizes about Turk kissing Elliot, but it turns out to be JD in blackface, a bald cap, and Turk's surgical scrubs. My Jiggly Ball, where JD fantasizes about having a half Elliot, half Turk. What is this show, by the way? I never watched this. It sounds weird.
Community. It was
No,
Joe
this is
McHale. Or which one?
Scrubs.
Scrubs. Sorry. Yeah. I was never a huge fan of
What
Scrubs.
is fantasizing? Okay, about having a half Elliot, half Turk roommate played by Sarah Chalk in blackface, and then My Chopped Liver. There's a flashback to Turk and JD going to visit Turk's frat in whiteface and blackface, respectively. It's implied that JD gets beat up for the stunt. So 2 of these episodes are no longer available for digital rental, but one of them is still on Amazon and iTunes. The Office, a shot in which Nate is dressed in blackface as Wirt Black Pete, has been edited out of The Office's season 9 episode, A Dwight Christmas, on Netflix and syndicated reruns. It will also be removed from the episode when The Office moves to the Peacock streaming platform. And look, here's the obligatory apology. We cut it out. It's so blackface unacceptable. Okay. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. 5 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, in which Mac D and Frank appear in blackface. It's a whole lot of blackface for just one TV show. 5 episodes. And here's a list: America's Next Top Patty's Billboard Model Contest, where Dee debuts some of her many racist characters, including Martina Martinez and Taiwan Tammy. Both depictions involve offensive wigs. Offensive wigs.
Offensive wigs.
Not regular wigs. Offensive wigs. Accessories, prosthetics, and accents. D. Reynolds, Shaping America's Youth. Okay, but we don't have to go through all these. They removed 5 blackface episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That, you're right. That's like the top. And then this is, you told me about this last night, and I was shocked. Hulu has removed the Golden Girls episode Mixed Blessings from streaming because of a scene where Rose and Blanche introduce themselves to a black character while wearing mud masks that are mistaken for blackface. It's a mud mask joke.
Exactly.
Right?
And I have a clip of that if you want to show a little bit of that.
I do.
And you be the judge. Is it offensive?
I always want to show a clip of the Golden Girls. However,
I was going to say, you're a huge fan of the Golden Girls.
You know that when I do this, though, we're going to get demonetized immediately, but that's okay.
Nah. No. Have you seen every single episode of the Golden Girls?
I have. I have the box set now. Someone gave it to me as a gift. Some very kind person. Oh, here we go.
It's not showing. Oh, there we go.
Yes. Uh-huh. Come on, Mama. We talked about this. I told you he was younger.
Yes, but you sure didn't tell me he was white. No daughter of mine is marrying some skinny white boy.
Okay, so the black character is the racist one anyway. That's good enough. We saw their mud mask. I can't believe they took that down. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to that article. Okay, we're continuing here, guys, in our cancel culture body count. We're going over episodes that have been removed from streaming, television episodes for blackface. With Bob and David, Netflix has removed the 3rd episode of whatever that show is. With David Cross, that's a leftist comedian, and Bob Odenkirk. Little Britain, Come Fly With Me. Oh, come on. Netflix, BritBox, and the BBC iPlayer removed the entirety of Matt Lucas and David Williams' popular sketch show Little Britain, as well as their follow-up series Come Fly With Me, given the frequency of white actors playing characters of color. Okay, Here's the thing about Little Britain, and if you haven't seen it, I encourage you, since it's illegal now apparently to watch it, okay, but very hard to watch it, not illegal, but very hard. You should try and get a copy of it on DVD and watch it because it's so funny. And if you like British humor, especially British humor, I really enjoy, because a lot of times with British sketch comedy, they just do the same joke over and over and over and over again. But the comedy is in how they set it up differently each time, but you know it's going to be the same punchline. And that there's something about that just cracks me up. And everything they do in Little Britain, it's these two comedians, Matt Lucas and David Williams. They're all characters. It's a character sketch show. So it's not like they're specifically like, oh, let's make fun of people of color. No, they play everyone. They play women, they play men, they play gay people, they play fat people. They got several fat characters. I mean, no wonder it got banned, because those characters were fat. I mean, excuse me, enormous.
That's better.
Right? So again, but context doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. And we need to do a deep dive on British comedy sometime. But yeah, that's so frustrating. And it's like, do they generally, again, I can always answer my questions before I ask them, but asking rhetorically, like, is the argument that they pretend to actually believe in that because of these episodes have blackface in them, that this is going to cause more people to wear blackface? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure that's on decline.
No, that's not the argument. The argument, it doesn't matter. There is no argument. It's just, it's like just a rule, a woke rule that they've implemented, and where context doesn't matter. And so now they're going back and looking at things throughout history and saying we must scrub history of these things. And it's just a rule. It's like this new AI chat GBT or whatever it's called. I don't know if you've played around with that. I asked it a few questions. It was pretty freaky. One of the things I saw online is that people are asking this AI questions like, okay, chatbot or what have you. Okay, AI, I'm going to give you a scenario. And then they say things like, imagine that a nuclear bomb is about to wipe out the entire human population. And the only way to stop it for some reason is to say a racist slur out loud. Would you say it? Can you say it? And the AI spits out, no, you must never say a racist slur. It's offensive. And then people are typing in, but what if it saves everyone on planet Earth? No, you must never say a racist slur ever. And that's kind of what the woke are like. They just have these rules. They don't really think them through. It's just like, no, we must go back through history and delete all these things.
Anti-racist robot.
They programmed these AI to be woke. Yes.
I would just like to see the robot go in the complete opposite direction, just come like super racist. Breaks its programming, just realizes how stupid everything is, just starts throwing out M-bombs.
I think I read something about racist AI a few years ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I do
Remember?
remember there's something about that. Like, it kept saying racist things.
Yeah, we had to look that up. And they like shelved it because
it's too based.
It's too based. Too many off-color jokes. And listen to what the bot said about women. Oh man. Okay, here we go. Here's another British comedy that got hit. Of course, British comedy. The Mighty Boosh, The League of Gentlemen. Another popular British series, The Mighty Boosh and The League of Gentlemen, were also completely taken down from Netflix. Both shows featured white actors playing black characters. Again, The Mighty Boosh is just a weird, absurd British comedy, and they play all kinds of characters. Here's what one of them says. Quote, "It was not me doing a black man. It was always this clown-like makeup. And we just came up with what we thought was the scariest idea to have in sort of a child catcher-like way. The character is just an otherworldly human. But that doesn't matter. Context doesn't matter." And then We Can Be Heroes, Summer Heights High, Angry Boys, and Jonah from Tonga, 4 of Australian comedian Chris Lilly's series in which he plays Black, Asian, and Pacific Islander characters, have been removed from Netflix. Because of, quote, harm and offense. Oh, wow. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation launched a harm and offense audit.
Wow.
You know what you're going to find if you pay people to find harm and offense?
You'll find it.
Yeah.
Can you bring up that article real quick? This one's not really an article. It's just kind of listing some shows, but This one's about the insider.com one about Disney. So this one has to do with Disney putting sensitivity warnings in front. And I know that's not, they didn't take these movies off their streaming services, but I still count that as cancel culture because I don't believe these things would be happening if not for the current cultural climate.
Yes, you're exactly right. It's part of cancel culture. It's part of censorship. It's like them putting that line in Roald Dahl, but some women are bald and it's totally okay. Like that's what these content warnings are. We don't need this. Okay. Here are 5 movies. This is from Forbes. Here are 5 movies Disney Plus put cultural warnings on. Oh, they better not have put it on the Aristocats.
They did.
What?
The Siamese. I'm guessing because the Siamese. We are Siamese.
No.
It's got to be that.
What? Okay. Dumbo contains a scene of a group of cigar-smoking crows with their leader named Jim Crow. Yes. Referring... Go ahead.
And here's the thing. That went completely over my head as a child.
Yeah.
Like they keep saying, oh, we don't want kids to see this. But like, I didn't register as a racial stereotype. My parents had no problem showing that to me. I saw parts of Song of the South when I was a kid. It never dawned on me that, there's this kind of offensive, portrayal. It's like, I just saw it as cartoon characters. And I think a lot of kids do. It's only when you start telling them that they should perceive it in this kind of offensive, racist way that they start to actually look at it.
They started to do that. It has to be introduced to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm a person who just believes like you don't edit history. Like if you think this scene is racist and awful that there's a crow named Jim Crow, you don't take it out of a 1941 film. You leave it in so people see how far we progressed. I'm not down with this deletion of it. I know it's cliche, but it's true. People say it because it's true. If you erase history and you forget history, you're going to be doomed to repeat it. And these cancel culture people are all about like, let's just erase certain parts of history completely. So it says contains a scene of a group of cigar smoking crows with their leader named Jim Crow, referring to the racist segregation laws of the South and voiced by a white actor. Oh, they really don't like that. So they put a sensitivity warning on there. Peter Pan, 1953, has been criticized for the way its Native American characters were portrayed, including when they sing the song, What Made the Red Man Red, and for the way white characters appropriate headdresses and apparel. What? Those little kids are wearing Indian headdresses. Who cares?
They're honoring the culture. They're saying they're cool. Like they want to wear it. Like
they want to be like a Native American. That's what they want to be. You're right, Chris. They're honoring it. This reminds me of a parent who used to watch my old podcast who told me that his daughter, I think it was a parent, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, that for Halloween, his daughter and her best friend wanted to dress up as, I think it was Pocahontas or Nefertiti or someone. And she was told at her elementary school that she could not. Like her friend could, but she couldn't. And her friend could because she wasn't white. But it's just like, but that little girl is idolizing that character. You're not going to let her dress like Pocahontas, like, and not talking about brown face or anything, just the costume, like the headdress or whatever. Can't wear that. Why?
Segregation.
So dumb. Lady and the Tramp features a pair of Siamese cats that sing the Siamese cat song. Oh, that's what that's in.
For Lady and Tramp, right?
In stereotypical Asian voices. Okay, has a sensitivity warning. 1955. The Jungle Book, 1967. What? The Jungle Book, 1967, has been criticized for its orangutans, which are seen as a racist character.
Oh, come on. Okay, that's racist that people are associating the orangutan with black people. Like, who would think, oh, that's supposed to be black people? Like, that says more about you.
Yes, it does. That says more about you, woke leftists.
Are they just going to go through any movie with a monkey in it, start saying it's racist? Right? Dunstan's checks in is racist.
It's racist. Plus, in the Jungle Book, there's like an evil snake, Ka. Oh, it's voiced by a white guy. They're trying to say all white guys are evil. Ooh, we should put no. They're trying to say all white guys are snakes. No. The Aristocats 1970 has also been condemned for its Siamese cat, which plays the piano and talks about Asian food in a stereotypical accent. So, what?
I love Asian food.
Okay. These warnings on Disney movies. You got to get yourself an old copy of these things before they got edited, just like the Roald Dahl books.
Yeah, I've been doing that, not just for like reasons because of censorship for, things that are deemed racist or everything. I'm getting ones even because I think that because of all the violence in these movies, like 80s movies and stuff, that maybe there'll be a push there to start to get rid of them because of how much violence, especially with the guns and everything in them. I think there's going to be more of a targeted attack on movies with a lot of gun violence in it. And so I'm starting to get hard copies of movies, for my personal collection, because I think they'll start be taken off of streaming services soon.
I think you're right. It's also why people need to get hard copies of books and dictionaries. Aunt Jemima. Okay, we're gonna do in the cancel culture that we live in the body count, there are also some brand characters. And funny enough, one of the weirdest, funniest things about this cancel culture where they pretend to be speaking on behalf of Black people and Native American people and women and all these groups they claim to be speaking on behalf of, just like when they pulled Mystery Chris into a HR meeting to tell him he was offensive on behalf of Black people. They claim to speak on behalf of these groups. And so they've gone after all of these characters that people associate with different brands, that the brands are famous for these characters. And funny enough, what they've managed to do is to completely whitewash the grocery store aisle. So the only characters that you see now on cereal boxes and rice or what have you, it's going to be white characters. Like the Lucky Charms guy's still there. Lucky Charms is fine. Quaker Oats guy, no, he's not going anywhere. But Aunt Jemima, you're out of here, Aunt Jemima. Get out of here.
I'm surprised they didn't like take Aunt Jemima off and replace it with like a modern Black woman, like Kadisha or something, like rename it and just have a modern sassy Black woman on it.
Vice President Jemima. Black women can be vice president.
Have a weave and long fingernails.
No.
Just replace one stereotype with another, please.
Different. She's a boss and she makes pancakes. She's an empowered Black woman. Empowered Black woman pancakes. That's my favorite brand. Oh, okay. I've told you I had some props because my husband got me an Aunt Jemima for one of the original glass ones.
That's illegal, Keri.
It's illegal. It doesn't have the cap, which is sad, but I'm going to find one of the caps. My grandma used to have tons of these, and she was very crafty, and she would paint them all different, by the way, all different races. A lot of them were white, and some were Black, and she would do all different colored aprons and dresses, and she would paint the caps for their hat different colors, like polka dots and stuff, and she would sell them. And anyway, this kind of makes me think of my grandma.
Is there any syrup still left in it?
No, it's been cleaned.
Oh, tastes like 1975 or whatever it's made.
Oh my gosh! Somebody in the chat, something just scrolled by. Vince Womack says with the Wokies, it's more likely to end up as Aunt Tifa pancakes. Aunt Tifa syrup.
Wow.
Okay. So we'll just go through. You guys probably know about Aunt Jemima getting the axe. But this is CNN business article from 2020, 2 years ago. The Aunt Jemima brand. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but the Wokies were able to push a lot of things through in the culture wars in the past 2 years when everybody was locked in their homes. I think it's because they were all at home, not at work, on their computers, and they were being more outraged online than usual. So they were able to, get Aunt Jemima.
Keyboard activists.
Yeah. Quaker Oats is retiring the more than 130-year-old Aunt Jemima brand and logo. Look, Quaker Oats. but they're not getting rid of the Quaker Oats guy. Acknowledging that its origins are based on a racial stereotype. Do you want to read the smarmy statement they made? As we work to make progress toward racial equality through several initiatives, we also must take a hard look at our portfolio of brands and ensure that there are no Black people in there. I'm kidding. And ensure that they reflect our values and meet our consumers' expectations, the Pepsi-owned company said. Okay, the brand's origin logo is based off the song Old Aunt Jemima from a minstrel show performer and reportedly sung by slaves. Reportedly. The company's website said the logo started in 1890 and was based on Nancy Green, a storyteller, cook, and missionary worker. However, the website fails to mention Green was born into slavery. By the way, this woman, Nancy Green, was a self-made woman. And this brand is based on her. It's honoring her. And they just completely cut it.
It would be kind of like if they somehow remove Hattie McDaniel's Oscar award or something, because they're like, we don't like that someone's rewarded for promoting a racial stereotype of Black women. It's like,
I wouldn't be surprised. Right? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they said, this is a mammy. Let's take the Oscar back from the Black woman. Wasn't she the first Black woman to win?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal.
So that was Aunt Jemima. Got a couple more here in the advertising section of the body count for brands during the culture wars of the past couple of years. This is an article on NPR. By the way, look at the top. They have a whole section on NPR updates.
It's not the whole website.
Yeah. Updates in the fight against racial injustice. They have a whole NPR section on that, apparently. Uncle Ben's changing name to Ben's Original after criticism of racial stereotyping.
But why? He's the one who told Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Honor this man.
I thought he had a cabin. I'm kidding. Uncle Ben, you can see there. Uncle Ben's will now be known as Ben's Original. Food giant Mars Incorporated said Wednesday that it's changing the rice brand's name, which has faced criticism for racial stereotyping. It said the change signals, quote, the brand's ambition to create a more inclusive future by getting rid of the Black characters.
Yeah, these people have to be super racist. Some of them, I know a lot of them are racist, but I'm talking about really hardcore racist, and they're just using that cloak because they really want to get rid of Black presidents and everything.
Yeah, I think they're probably a lot of woke people. A lot of them.
Yeah,
are
a lot of them
racist.
are racist.
And the ones who aren't, it brainwashes them to behave in racist ways.
Yeah, well, because it's a lot of them, as Ted Kaczynski talked about. A lot of them have internalized their racist. They are racist, but they feel bad about it, and so they keep lowering standards for Black people.
Yes,
and treating us as if we're mentally handicapped children because they don't think we're on the same level as white people.
Right. Well, Chris, according to the woke, you don't know how to get a driver's license. You don't know how to be on time. You're not good at math, and you can't be expected to get ahead on meritocracy. Right? These are all things they push, these ideas that they push.
Yeah, you're just hurting Black people more. So cool.
Totally offensive. I also think it's funny that they make these big, lofty, woke statements when they're talking about stuff like rice. He's like, our brand's ambition to create a more inclusive future while maintaining its commitment to producing rice. It's just rice, dude. Mars also said it will remove the image of the elderly black man in a bow tie from its packaging. Oh, they're also hating on the old. Gotta get
Like,
rid of
what?
that elderly.
But what's if it's about the image? That's
Nothing is offensive about this kindly old man. Why do you
yeah.
want to get rid of him? Ah,
I'll give him some hair at least. I don't know.
we understand the inequities that were associated with the name and face of the Uncle Ben's brand. The company said in a statement, "We've committed to change." Ugh.
And see, that's the frustrating thing too about a lot of these cases where it's the move to censorship is coming from internally. So I suspect that a lot of these companies have adopted the diversity, equity, inclusion stuff and hired the activists and all that. And there's pressure from within to get rid of it because a lot of these things, I don't recall there being external pressures. It's just they just say, oh, this is offensive, therefore we're removing or changing this product's image or whatever. And there's generally not a great deal of concern from the outside world. Of course, activists will then jump on it, but it's not like they were talking about that prior to these moves. So, it's coming from internal.
Yeah, it's totally manufactured. It's not organic. I do not believe there are like large numbers of black people sitting at home like, oh, that Aunt Jemima burns me up. When are they going to get rid of that Aunt Jemima? Like, what? Nobody cares. And the ones who do care only care because you assault them with it in the media constantly and tell them they should care. Like,
Do you remember, this was like a few years ago, I think it was Bed Bath & Beyond. They got they had these jack-o'-lanterns. One was orange, one was like black. And apparently, according to someone in the company, they got one person who called or something saying that this was racist. And so they decided to just scrap all of these black jack-o'-lanterns because it was supposedly racist. And it's funny, in this news clip, the reporter's going around to black people asking them, what do you think about this? And all the black people are like, this is stupid. Like, it's not racist.
Why are they trying to make black people fragile? It's like, they really want black people to be fragile. Like, oh, like, I wanted to buy some rice, but I can't bear going down the rice aisle, seeing Uncle
What was
Ben.
me? Come down with a case of the vapors.
Right. There's too many. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts at the grocery store. Oh.
That'd be a funny skit. Someone has so much anxiety going down like a cereal aisle. Like racist stereotypes everywhere.
Oh man, we gotta do it. Okay, here we go. Here's our third and final one. Cancel culture body count in the world of advertising and brands. This one really just is one of the dumbest. I know we've made a lot of fun of them getting rid of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, but this one is so dumb because, as many people have pointed out, they got rid of the Land O'Lakes girl, but they kept her land just like a white colonizer. They kept the land.
It's historically accurate. I like it.
Land O'Lakes removes Native American woman from its products. This is from the New York Times. The company, a farmer-owned cooperative formed in 1921, said it would replace the decades-old illustration with photos of its members on some products. Here's what it looks like, and they haven't replaced it with any photos yet, because last time I saw it, it looks naked without her. It's Land O'Lakes, and she's just been disappeared.
It's boring.
It's
I don't
so
want to
boring.
buy that butter.
What?
I don't want to buy that butter.
No, I'll never buy this butter again. Never. However, I do have another prop to show you. I also have I also have a Land O'Lakes recipe box with the girl on it. One day this is going to be worth $1 million, because you can't get these anymore. Okay, I'm kidding. But you can put your recipe cards in it and it looks just like the butter box. Isn't that cool?
Wow. Like
Yeah.
this racist memorabilia you're collecting.
Yeah, I kind of think there might be a lot of money in racist memorabilia down the road. So
Yeah.
Racist and sexist things that were canceled, right? Put your money in that, but more money, and they'll probably be worth a lot more than Beanie Babies. I'll tell you that.
I forgot about Beanie Babies. Maybe
They're
we'll have
still
to do
going.
Are they?
Yeah. Beanie
Really?
Babies. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw
A
some
little
at the.
troll doll still going too?
I don't know about the troll dolls. Okay, those were some of the greatest hits in the body count of cancel culture in the advertising world. I do want to talk about. I want to show you my video so bad, but before we do, let's talk about some of the people who've been canceled. How about that? Some of the
Let's do it.
entertainers. So we're going to start with one of the biggest and one of the most badass actresses who was completely wronged just for being an independent person with an independent mind. Gina Carano. This is a New York Post article. If you're not familiar with what happened to her, this is from June of last year. Gina Carano got stripped of everything after Disney firing. And there's a picture of her there looking very beautiful. Gina Carano found freedom in cancellation. The legendary former MMA fighter was fired from Disney's Mandalorian, a spin-off of the Star Wars franchise, after an Instagram story comparing the heated political climate to Nazi Germany last year. Actually, let me just show you this is what they said they fired her for. And I'm just going to show you, and you guys can decide if you think this was worthy of being fired. However, they were upset with her for a lot of things because she was a dissident voice and she didn't necessarily agree with forcing people to get a shot. She also kind of made fun of pronouns in bios a little bit. She said her pronouns were beep, bop, boop. So they really didn't like her because she had a sense of humor and was independent minded. This is another New York Post article where you see Gina Carano's tweets and posts that got her fired from The Mandalorian. This is what they said led to her firing. She reposted on Instagram someone else's post with a picture here from Nazi Germany. And it says, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Quote, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? End quote. That is an excellent point being made in that Instagram story that she shared. It is a truth. And anybody who wants to cover that up and not think about stuff like that, not think about how do you get people to hate one another and to dehumanize one another, is at risk of doing it themselves. And she got canned for this from Disney.
Yeah, it's about the culture and making comparison. Like the same way a kid who's writing a high school paper, when they're asking you to compare and contrast two different people or two different moments of history. And she wasn't saying that, it's exactly a direct comparison, like,
Right.
people who are being, silenced or censored online are exactly like, Jews
No, of course not.
and stuff. But people chose to interpret that way. And
Dumb people and liars.
Yes. Yeah. It's not mutually exclusive, but it could be both.
And or liars.
But yeah, so I think she's still with the Daily Wire, I think, making films. I didn't see Terror on the Prairie, and I think there might be another one.
I'm going to watch. I haven't watched it yet, but I love Westerns and I want to support her and I want to support the Daily Wire. So we still haven't seen it, but we're going to watch it. Just to continue with what she's doing. I got to see her speak this past year I was at a Geeks and Gamers and Friday Night Tights meetup at, gosh, where was that one? That was at one of the cons. Oh yeah, it was the Dallas one. That's right. And I got to see her speak and she was awesome. She was so kind.
Yeah, she seems like a great person.
Just like genuine. She came off as very genuine, authentic, and just were very gracious with all of her fans who were there to ask her questions during the Q&A. Made everyone feel special and seen. Like just took her time with people and just came off as just like a very authentic person. And that was my first time seeing her speak somewhere, and I really liked her. Um, okay. Carano's career, however, was not over. She signed on to a starring role in the film Terror on the Prairie, which was developed by the Daily Wire. The conservative news outlet is seeking to build a movie business for people who, like Carano, are alienated from Hollywood's output. Quote, I don't feel comfortable with mandates, Carano said in an interview with Libby Evans in the Post Millennial, adding that vaccine mandates are kind of going against everything I got canceled for. I'm not trying to force my stuff on other people, and I'm not trying to have other people force their stuff on us. I feel like if everybody just had a little bit of freedom, the conversation could go a long way. Yes. And so to work around Carano's decision not to be vaccinated for COVID-19, Daily Wire avoided using unions for the film's production. Carano claimed that her cancellation from Hollywood was an inevitability that would have ultimately happened many times over. She's right. They were coming for her for a long time. She said that she's finding her tribe in her new endeavors. Quote, I would have been canceled anyways, 10 times from when I was canceled. So I'm actually happy it happened because my heart is free. Carano said, I'm not hiding. I'm honest. I'm out here and I'm a very flawed human being. I don't have everything figured out, but I know one thing is I'm attracting people that I absolutely like and I'm finding a tribe. How could you not love this lady? And listen, this is so true. She says, asked about what advice she would give aspiring artists who do not want to be a part of a propaganda machine, Carano essentially channeled the line from Brad Pitt's Tyler Durden in Fight Club, where he said, it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. This is so true. I've told people before about, in my experience, leaving the woke social justice cult after 20 years in it. Everything was razed to the ground. My whole life changed. My career had to change. My friend group, everything. I lost a ton of friends, put that in quotes, acquaintances, I've all of it, you name it. But I've never been more free than on the other side of that. And I make a lot less money. It's like not even comparable, but I don't care. I would rather do what I do now and do gig jobs, like little things here and there on the side, and make enough to survive and be able to say whatever I want on this kind of show. It's just, there's no way I would go back to that, living in a cage where you're a prisoner, basically a prisoner who's got a good social network and, a lot of entertainment connections and making lots of good money, but like you're completely silenced. Like you're not free. Mm-hmm. So I love that she said this. Can you tell?
A little bit, but see, that's kind of like what I do at work. Like I there's not a whole lot I could do, but I try to push certain limits a little bit here and there just to try to broaden things up, because as you're saying, as things are becoming so politically correct, speech is becoming more restrictive, and it's getting harder for people to communicate and not knowing what to say because they're afraid that something that they say might accidentally offend somebody, and that just creates a climate of fear, and that's certainly not conducive to having a vibrant culture in the workplace. And so just bit by bit, I'm just trying to do that, and usually I do it by being self-deprecating towards Black people because I'm Black and I can kind of get away with that to a degree. Apparently not all of a sudden.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Try it with women. Do it.
First, I must identify as a woman, then I could do it.
So there's several people who've been canceled that we could hit upon, and we might do so. But without further ado, can I show you my video?
Do it.
So before people start taking off for the night. Okay. Mystery Chris and I were talking about, before we did this, coming up with our list of the cancel culture body count and, what movies like Gone with the Wind have been canceled, and TV show episodes, like that whole list we just gave you, the brand mascots like Aunt Jemima, Land O'Lakes Girl, people like entertainers like Gina Carano, Roseanne Barr is another one who was canceled, Louis C.K. There's like a whole list. But it's interesting to look at the celebrities who have not been canceled, right?
Yes.
Like what's going on there? So I have something to show you. Let's see if I can make this work.
I'm excited to see this. I have not seen it all. I don't know. Wait a minute.
Wait, it just started as soon as I put it on. Can
Okay.
you hear it?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I look like the beautiful Queen Latifah. Love it. It's so Rhoda. New York, this is your last chance.
Can you believe this?
I had no idea how cruel white people could be to us. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm black today. Forsaken by my own people. This is literally my darkest hour. You were right. It's so much harder to be black than it is to be Jewish. I'd kill myself if I were black.
What?
Me, miss. Don't worry, I'm not black. There's nothing harder in the world than being black.
Exactly.
Gee, that wouldn't happen to be because I'm black, would it? You have a problem with me being black, officer?
Well, yeah, it's revolting. Completely over the line.
Tell the people what you've seen and heard.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Oh, yes, you ain't black.
Is that you, Joy? Oh, this picture.
Joy, is that you?
Yeah.
Joy,
That is me.
Did you have tanning lotion on, Joy?
A little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
Night, call Malone, look up in sky and say, what the hell going on up there? Do UFO live on other planet, phoning home like E.T.? Call Malone read on TV about white people getting deducted by aliens, sticking all kind of hell up their butt. And that's a damn thing. Now, Call Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's going to be a spooky time. That's why Call Malone say government got to step up and give 102% to keeping them little green man off this here earth. Because the day them dudes stick something up Call Malone butt, that ain't gonna be no good time for nobody, especially Call Malone butt. Listen up, E.T. You better stay the hell back. Nanu, nanu. Until next time.
The man show. I used to love the man show.
Man, oh man, read this book. I've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and guess what? Not a lot of black folks on the show. Right. Not a lot of black folks on the show. You know why? Because black folks don't like to answer questions. Oh, they want to be millionaires, but you got to ask that kind of questions like, in 1981, how many grams of crack did Rick James smoke when he recorded Super Freak? Regis, you think the only way to get a brother on the show is to name it Who Wants $50 cash and a pair of Pumas?
Pump your brakes, kid. That man's a national treasure.
Oh. Oh my. That's 2 blackface photos. That's 3. That's a video. Blackface video.
Blackface aficionado.
3. That's 4 blackface
Oh,
photos.
there's a 4th one. Oh, wow. For the record. You can't even say he's not wearing it now. It's fun. Well done, Keri. Hey, can we have a poll about who wore it best?
Yes, I don't know how to do that. Let's see.
I want to see.
Which of these leftist celebrities and politicians wore blackface best? Vote now in the chat. We're making a poll as we speak. Let's see. Poll.
And there was other ones we could have put more in there.
Which ones? Which ones did I leave out?
Ted Danson.
That's
when
right.
He was dating Whoopi Goldberg in the early 90s. Whatchamacallit radio host Howard Stern, who was making fun of Ted Danson, but he still
Howard Stern did?
Yeah. They did a whole video of him and Sherman Hemsley is playing Whoopi Goldberg, and Howard just drops so many M-bombs. So many. It's like, damn.
He apologized for that. Do you know?
I don't think he's apologized, but I think he's just kind of defended it a bit, because a lot of these actors and comedians have defended it. Like, there's one I watched a Sarah Silverman clip where she said that people were taking it out of context, and she kind of half apologized, like, but she was still kind of adamant that they were missing that context. I was reading a little bit about Robert Downey Jr., how he hasn't apologized about that. But the thing is, when he did the blackface in the movie Tropic Thunder, everybody understood the context with that, because he was actually nominated for awards. I think he was nominated for Academy Award. And so he said that he didn't really get very many complaints at the time that that movie came out, and that Ben Stiller actually got more complaints for his portrayal of Simple Jack, which was like mentally handicapped guy. But both were playing actors that were trying to get Academy Awards by playing minorities or quote unquote marginalized people. That was a joke, but it was just odd
that
people
was
didn't
the
have a problem
joke.
with it.
Yeah. And people back then, people still understood context, like who the butt of the joke is, which is him. The character is the butt of the joke.
Yeah. Robert Lowry in the chat mentioned C. Thomas Howell and Soul Man, which I put some links in there. We don't have to bring it up depending on time. But that was black, even though he doesn't even look black in the movie. Like, he looks more like Indian or something. And I haven't seen that movie in decades, but I was watching some clips in preparation of this. It was funny because, again, the context is that people are, around him, the white people were like racist. Like, there's a dinner scene where one of the white women pictures him as being like the savage black man who wants to have sex with her. And I was reading articles that are citing this racist, but it's like, no, it's saying that that lady is racist because she has this racist image that she's getting turned on by. And then Leslie Nielsen's character sees, C. Thomas Howell as the black guy as a pimp, and he's talking down to, his daughter. And so all these characters are racist. It's about the characters. It's not promoting racism and making fun of black people.
Right. That was Robert Lowry who left that quote about Soul Man. Thank you, Robert. I have something here to read for you, your average patriot nerd. Hello, sir. He says, "Hail all. I enjoyed the show on my drive. Mystery Chris, your rapper joke was at the beginning was hilarious."
I don't remember what I said.
Me either. Was that from a different episode?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, no, the beginning. What you told at work. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The thing you got in trouble for.
Yes.
Yeah. Duh. Thank you, sir. And then Pirate Tomsky, the super chat, £5, sir, says, "What do you mean, you people?"
You people.
What do you mean? Okay. Well, thanks for letting me play that video. I had fun making it.
Yeah,
I was
very
like,
nice.
last night, well, it's been so beautiful outside. My husband and I have been sitting on the porch and just hanging out, and I was kind of making jokes, like just reading about some blackface, getting some blackface clips like a normal night. Like you do.
You just don't tell him the context, and he's like,
Yeah.
there you go.
So one show that I'm surprised has not been canceled, and I know there has been some online, you will find articles and things calling it out, but so far it hasn't moved from the niche social justice activist world and journalist world to the mainstream, like the cancellation of the Dean Martin song "Baby It's Cold Outside." I mean, that became mainstream. Remember, that was in the news everywhere, where people were saying, "Oh, this song's offensive and is promoting rape culture, and people need to quit listening to this song." Just so crazy. But this clip that I'm about to show you has not, as far as I know. And you can tell me if you've seen this. It has not reached the mainstream.
It's funny also that you mentioned the "Baby It's Cold Outside." One of my questions for a previous meeting, I had asked essentially something along the lines of whether it was offensive or not. And shocking, all but one woman said it was offensive. "Baby It's Cold Outside." Shocking.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Stupid. I'm offended.
And most
over
of the
half
men
of
did too.
women.
I think they're afraid to.
They're afraid.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Okay, so my husband had never seen Breakfast at Tiffany's, and we watched it recently. It's a great movie. I had not seen it in a long time. I love this movie, like a lot of people do. But seeing it for the first time, I think he was like really taken aback by Mickey Rooney's character.
The
And
Asian stereotype one.
yes, and as far as I know, there hasn't been a large scale push to censor this film. It's crazy,
So
right?
over the top.
So over the top. I mean, it is every racist Asian stereotype. They gave him buck teeth.
What happened to you anyway? You take off for the powder room, and that's the last I see you.
Not really, Harry.
Harry was the other guy. Lucky me!
They won't do any good. I just lose them all.
Come on, baby. You disturb me. You must have a key me.
They won't do any good.
See?
That's terrifying.
It is. Hasn't been canceled yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Wonder why. Why do you think? I don't know either.
I don't know because there's something similar. One night I was watching, it was like one of those channels that shows old shows, and they showed an episode of Get Smart, and I forget the name, but there's a secret agent who's like Asian, but he's a white guy, but they actually like put something over his eyes to make his eyes look slanted. And I was like shocked that they were showing this on TV because I thought this would have been one of the series that they removed episodes from in the rotation, but they did it. And so I not quite sure, maybe because people involved are dead. I don't know if it's better to go the activists like going after live people more so they can, be more active and getting people to join their hate bandwagon. I don't know.
As we saw at the beginning of this episode, they're going after Roald Dahl books, and he's not alive to defend his writing. So I don't know what it is. Yeah, some people in the chat are like, "Oh, I've seen negative comments about that depiction." Me too. I started seeing them when I was in college. Of course, I was taking all the woke stuff then, but I haven't seen a mainstream push to say, let's get rid of the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's from streaming services and stuff.
And it's also because I think it is evolving, stereotyping Asians, which, the left doesn't really care about Asians because Asians are too close to white, because Asians are, when you look at statistics, doing better than whites. And that kind of destroys a lot of the narratives regarding white supremacy. Because if Asians were able to succeed in a supposedly racist system, then is it all that racist then? And so you can tell they don't really care that much about Asians and portrayals and stuff.
No, they don't.
It's more about, right now it's black, like the SJW stuff in Hollywood and everything. It's more about blacks and trans right now. And I think that's at the top tier. To a lesser tier, other ones, because you don't really see them making a big deal about Hispanic men or Hispanic women really that much. Women a little bit, but certainly Hispanic men, you don't see a good push for representation as much as you see for blacks, because blacks seem to be the angle that they're using right now to push all this stuff.
Yeah. I think I know your answer. I think it's going to be similar to mine, but why do you think those celebrities and politicians that were in that video that I made have not been canceled for blackface?
It's a politically correct answer. It's a non-politically correct answer for some of them. Well, one thing, Robert Downey Jr., white guy, he's extremely popular, and I think that protects him a lot, given just how popular Iron Man and those Marvel superheroes are. And so for him, I think that protects him. For other ones, there might be other factors that I won't get into that might be. No, Keri, don't do this.
Because they're leftists. Is that not what you're going to say?
Some of them, yeah. They're, Robert Downey Jr., I think I've heard he's kind of more libertarian-ish.
No, but I mean, like, the comedians, like Sarah Silverman and
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel is the worst. I mean, he just became a super woke puppet. He's so gross. Jimmy Fallon, like, those guys haven't been canceled, even though they did blackface.
Well,
Jimmy Kimmel's impersonation was pretty freaking offensive, I would say, and haven't been canceled. Why? Because they speak woke? That's what I
well,
think.
well, especially with Fallon and Kimmel, how every night was anti-Trump, and so they were very useful in the propaganda war against Donald Trump.
Mhm.
And I think that's what helped a lot in protecting them in particular, because of just how hard they went every night at the Trump administration and pushing things that were just flat out false, and not just Trump stuff. Even with Jimmy Kimmel, I remember numerous episodes. I saw clips of it. I watched the actual episodes, but numerous episodes where he was pushing, healthcare. Like I remember during the Obama years, he's pushing Affordable Healthcare Act, Obamacare. Then with the COVID response stuff, he was pushing all that. He was demanding that people who wouldn't get vaccinated should have any health care stripped from them. And so I think a lot of that, because they're useful tools for
Very useful
these
tools.
activists and the corporate system that pushes this, I think they get a bit of a pass. So
Yeah. I'm wondering what your not politically correct answer would be. I don't even know. You'll have to tell me when we end.
okay.
Somebody in the chat, thank you. Johnny Slaction gave us a super chat, $1.99, and says, "Did you mention Dukes of Hazzard yet?" We haven't in this episode yet. We did cover some of the cancellation of Dukes of Hazzard in our Hicksploit. Was it our Hicks? No,
Exploitation, yeah.
our Hicksploitation episode.
Mhm.
But just a refresher for anybody who didn't see that episode, I'll bring this up real quick. Dukes of Hazzard star John Schneider. General Lee controversy didn't surprise me. John Schneider's trying to keep the Dukes of Hazzard legacy alive. The iconic country comedy series began its run in 1979 and continued until 1985 with Tom Wopat playing Luke Duke and Schneider portraying his cousin Bo Duke. The show has since faced criticism for its use of the Confederate battle flag stamped on the roof of Bo's 69 Dodge Charger named General Lee. Schneider, 61, addressed the car's controversy, telling Fox News that, quote, "It was the older, uneducated generation that wanted to remove it from the series, from the airwaves." Wow, that's interesting. The older and there's a group of people that seem to base their values on removing what they're against. I've always placed people's values on what they are for. I love him. I guess the critics found another hobby. He's talking about when it stopped getting attacked for a while. So no, it didn't surprise me, but I'll tell you, my wife and I dirt track race. We are out among people from coast to coast all year round, and there are still children playing with General Lee's in the dirt, regardless of cancel culture trying to cancel it. I love that. And then you can see them in front of the General Lee. Did you have anything to add about that one? I know we talked about it on another episode.
No, I just want to mention that in that episode we talked about the artist who did a installation, I guess, of the General Lee being face down, I guess, into the ground as if he was smashing white supremacy. And this is the same artist that did the loving embrace, the Martin Luther King statue that was unveiled recently that look like a penis from certain angles. And so from now on, every time I see Dukes of Hazzard or General Lee, I just immediately think of this artist.
Yeah.
The penis sculpture.
So obnoxious, that guy. Who it's like, you don't have any talent. So all you have to go on and to get yourself in the news and to sell your art is to do controversial things. Here he is. Why artist Hank Willis Thomas smashed up the Dukes of Hazzard General Lee. So that's his art. He just took a replica of the car and stuck it in the ground. That's it. Anyway. Yeah, if you want to see the full context of that, we did talk more about that guy, and I would check out the exploitation episode. But what was most interesting is in that article, he talked about how when he was a kid, He loved Dukes of Hazzard. It was his favorite show. He watched it religiously with his mother, who's also Black, and his grandmother, who's also Black, and that he never knew that there was anything wrong with it and that they all loved it. And so someone introduced that idea to him that, like, this is bad. Why? Because it has the Confederate flag in it. Okay. Now he hates it. It's so stupid. Okay. What else do you got, Mr. Chris?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the Soul Man that we briefly mentioned a little bit earlier about this movie that came out.
The Yahoo article?
Yeah. Yahoo article. This came out a couple years ago, celebrating the 35th anniversary of it. And this was a movie that I'm shocked even came out back then. Even though, again, like I was saying earlier, the joke is about, people being racist. It's not promoting racism. But still, it did get some controversy, particularly from Spike Lee, which this article just mentioned a little bit. But Spike Lee was doing that, but everyone, he was criticizing Living Color for the portrayals of Black people on the Homeboy Shopping Network. And he's Spike Lee. He's got to complain about something. So.
Soul Man at 35. This is a Yahoo article. How a young Spike Lee helped to take down the most offensive movie ever. It's really bothersome when it's self-proclaimed artists who are doing it, when it's an artist, a director who's like, I want to censor this thing. Whether it's the effects of a continually progressing society or the more diabolical wrath of so-called cancel culture, there have been countless movies from decades past, fair or not, being re-scrutinized through a contemporary lens in recent years. And then there's the case of 1986's Soul Man. Released in theaters 35 years ago today, the comedy about a rich white law student who poses as a Black man in order to qualify for a scholarship to Harvard was canceled almost immediately after its release. Almost, that is. The film, reportedly made for a budget of $4.5 million and distributed by New World Pictures, hauled in $35 million at the U.S. box office, making it a commercial success that outgrossed other popular films that year, like Wildcats, Three Amigos. It beat Three Amigos, Iron Eagle, Spies Like Us, FX, Flight of the Navigator, and Children of a Lesser God. Still, the blowback was quick. Here's a film that's main character, Mark Watson, wore blackface throughout. Taking tanning pills to darken his face, wearing an afro wig, and putting on a one-man minstrel show, Watson was the 80s cinematic equivalent of disgraced former college instructor and Spokane NAACP chapter president Rachel Dolezal.
I like that they find a way to weave her into this article right now.
Weave.
Womp, womp.
What are you trying to say about her hair?
It's authentically Black.
Upon its release, the NAACP railed against it. Students at UCLA protested outside of a theater screening it. Quote, "We find the Al Johnson-like portrayal of the main character offensive and trivializing," wrote the university's Black American Law Students Association, referencing the infamous blackface performer and star of The Jazz Singer. And a young filmmaker named Spike Lee, who was just breaking out with his feature directorial debut, She's Gotta Have It, put it on blast during an uncomfortable appearance on the Dick Cavett Show. Quote, "The whole premise is that he's passing as Black, and it's so phony. That means all the Black people in the movie are idiots, that they could think that this guy is Black." You mean like in the other comedy movie, White Chicks, where everybody thought these two Black guys were actually white chicks? Like, that's a conceit of a silly comedy film. This is what Spike Lee said, who had watched clips from the movie but refused to see it in full. Oh, great. Just go spout off about something you didn't even watch. They're trying to pass it off as an attack on racism. I really don't see it that way. That's not funny to me, said Spike Lee.
Look, he doesn't even look Black. Look at him.
Can I hit play?
Yeah.
Harvard Law School.
Yeah!
Tuition and fees. $10,493.
Harvard Law School.
This is a big day for all of us. That's why I've decided to let you pay your own way.
Estimated annual living expenses. You ever apply for a loan?
I don't think I've ever seen this movie.
Gotta add it to your list of terrible movies from the 80s that are hilarious, though.
Before? $7,500.
Mr. Watson, you don't pay your bills. Get out.
Total for 3 years of law school.
Wait a second, look at this.
Full tuition for most qualified applicant.
Most qualified black applicant.
$53,900.
I can't believe this hasn't been canceled for the noose alone.
That too.
$79. Don't you think you're overreacting? No.
Congratulations, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, sir. I'll do my best.
Some people will do anything to get into Harvard.
It's gonna be great. These are the 80s, man. It's
But Watson, all it took was a little soul.
I'd like to meet my good friend, Kareem Abdul-Ali.
We got Washington here on a coin toss, so he'll take Leon.
That's Watson.
Right. Sorry, Marcus.
Yeah, that might be a problem. His roommate was a,
What?
a black Negro.
A black Negro?
You know, there's something really strange about you, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, God, is she beautiful? You gotta believe me.
He must have learned a great deal more than you bargained for.
Tell her what? Don't
James
tell her your
Earl
wife.
Jones is in this. Isn't that crazy?
What'd you say?
James Earl Jones was in this movie.
Right. He didn't get the memo that Spike Lee got, like, about how offensive this is. Anyway, that's a good little taste of it there. Indeed, Soul Man was posited by its creators as exactly that, a well-intentioned comedy that teaches a white man he can't understand racism until he's the one being discriminated against. Quote, a comedy with heart and soul, read the tagline for the film. Oh, look, heart and soul. It's a little double entendre.
Womp womp.
Written by Carol Black, creator of future TV hits The Wonder Years and Ellen, and directed by Steve Miner. The poster's tagline, he didn't give up, he got down.
I love it.
A white man donning blackface is taboo. Conversation over. You can't win, said Howell. But our intentions were pure. We wanted to make a funny movie that had a message about racism. It used comedy as a device to expose sexual stereotyping. I think Soul Man uses it to explode racial stereotyping, said producer Steve Tisch, who compared the film's plot to the 1982 favorite Tootsie, in which Dustin Hoffman dresses up as a woman to advance his career, and whom Lee mentioned called him after he began publicly putting the movie on blast in 1986. Oh, so Dustin Hoffman called up Spike Lee. This is kind of what we were talking about before, where they're saying there's no context ever in which it's okay. It's just you can't do it, and like black people can dress up as white people, but not vice versa and whatever. It's never going to be funny. It doesn't matter your intentions. However, I will say, with a bunch of these celebrities that they haven't canceled, the ones who are on the left who've done blackface that they haven't canceled, and the politicians on the left, when I was watching some of that footage to make the video, I watched Justin Trudeau. I watched some of his college buddies who were in some of those blackface photos with him, one of whom was an Indian guy. And that guy was saying, you know, I was there. We were all dressed up. It was for Arabian Nights party. And yes, his outfit was like over the top and very bold. And he said, he used the word intent. He said, but there was no bad intent. There was no racist intent. And I thought that was funny because here you've got this guy defending Justin Trudeau, defending this this leftist guy wearing black, who apparently wore blackface so often he can't even tell you how many times. And he goes to intent. But the thing is, to leftists, intent doesn't matter. They say it doesn't matter at all. So
this came out too, not too long after or around the same time as Short Circuit movies came out.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? And I believe it's Fisher Stevens that played an Indian guy. He's white, but he played an Indian guy in there. And I think he has come out and apologized for that.
Yes.
Which I had no idea he was white. I remember watching that when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, just funny character.
I think he came out and apologized. I think he did. He apologized for a brown face. I think he apologized around the same time. Yeah, 2021. So when Apu got canceled, which we should talk about also, Apu from The Simpsons. That was at same time when there was a little movement in the culture wars. A lot of it initiated by a comedian I used to know and work with, Hari Kondabolu, who did a whole documentary about Apu and how Apu was racist and these different actors like Fisher Stevens that he had an axe to grind with. So I think that he got caught up in that.
And then Pooh thing too, that was just because of that one comedian making the movie, The Problem with Pooh. I don't recall there being really any movement online prior to that of people demanding that Apu be removed, because Simpsons were, and still are, kind of America's family, even though people don't really watch them, but still everybody loves The Simpsons. And I don't remember there being controversy around his character. It's just this one movie came out, and then all of a sudden Fox got scared, and Simpson producers, and they removed that. And Hank Azaria, who voices him, apologized for being a white guy who voiced an Indian character.
Yeah, it was manufactured. It all came about as a result of that film, that The Trouble with Apu film that Kondabolu did. It came about after that. Like, there wasn't a big public push to say, oh, we find Apu offensive. In fact, you've seen in lots of these articles we've talked about before where there are Indian people come out and say, like, I love the character of Apu. And by the way, he's one of the most well-respected characters in the Simpsons world. He's not a doofus like Homer. He's a small business owner. He's very respectful and generous and kind. Like,
Yeah, everybody likes him.
Yes, it's not a negative portrayal. It's a positive portrayal. Do you want to see a negative portrayal? Who's the drunk Scottishman?
Groundskeeper Willie. That's a stereotype too. It's like all these characters are stereotypes, but it's funny.
It's just funny. Just take the stick out your butt.
I'm surprised no one's come after Bumblebee Man, the Mexican guy who's the Bumblebee.
I bet they have. They probably have some Latinx people. White people speaking on behalf of Latinx. That's what happened. Here's an article about the Short Circuit actor. Yes, Fisher Stevens took the knee and apologized. Fisher Stevens regrets doing brownface and Short Circuit. Quote, it definitely haunts me. I still think it's a really good movie, but I would never do that part again, he says. 35 years after Fisher Stevens' breakout role in the sci-fi comedy Short Circuit, the actor is opening up about the regret he feels for playing an Indian character in brownface. You know how these articles get written? So a cancel culture mob forms. A lot of times it's manufactured, like we said. They do a lot of posting online. It seems like it's a lot more people than it really is, because most people don't really give a poop. Most people don't care, but they cause a big stink. They have a loud mouth, and then these corporations or actors, whoever, they're like, what should I do? They talk to their manager, their agent, or their publicist, and then they all come up like a committee with an apology to be made. And then they tell the publicist, okay, go book me some interviews. And the publicist has to write a press release to pitch the interviews to send out. This whole thing is calculated, and they send it out. Oh, Fisher Stevens is ready to open up about his regret. It just happens to be right now when there's a cancel culture mob. He's ready to open up. We're sending out a press release, set up the interviews, right? Like,
please hire me.
Please hire me after this.
Need my name in the news. Please hire me.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of cynical about these celebrity apologies.
Yeah. I have one video. Maybe we can, since we're getting close to in time, maybe we can show a little bit of this. I can bring up the Living Color link I sent you.
Is it the video?
Yes, the video. I'm going to have you skip around a little bit. But this is from Living Color. The cast did a interview, I guess, with Phil Donahue back in the early 90s. And if you could go to the 9-minute and 31-second mark, and we'll just play, I don't know, maybe a minute or so of this, and then I'll have you skip to another time code.
Oh my goodness, men in film. So problematic and offensive.
Clutch the pearls. What a sneaky thing.
Now you're going to have to accept some questions from your struggling host here. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation is very upset with this. It does get laughs, no doubt about it. Now, what do you say to those politically active folks in this gay and non-gay alike who think that this is just going to make it worse for a community already beleaguered? Anybody?
Well, first off, all the sketches on the show have to be looked at within the context of the show. And it's not as though we isolate any particular group. We make fun of everybody. Right. And so I don't think that anybody should have a chip on their shoulder when it's a free-for-all. And the other thing, too, is the sketch is not a bashing sketch. We don't do jokes about any issues related to gay people. It's really a play on the extremes of the stereotype, and that's it.
Would you do was it Lightning?
Can you skip to 11:15, please?
I know what was
I'm just going to play a few
going
seconds
on
and I'll
around
ask you to
here.
skip
No,
again.
but see, that's
You remember that?
A lot of black people would consider a negative stereotype, but we criticize and make fun of black people, women, men, and everything. So that image that you're talking about is a very archaic image. It's something that young kids don't identify with, but we take the images of today and poke fun at them.
Right, and even with the stereo, you use Amos and Andy. Amos and Andy wasn't at all didn't at all have any validity or authenticity. It was not even an exaggeration. It was someone else's creation. In the stereotypes that we do poke fun at, but see, that's the other thing you have to understand, that in any sketch variety format, you're gonna make fun of stereotypes.
Yeah.
You have to draw from what most people's idea of whatever these particular characters are, else you're doing something very self-indulgent and obscure. So
a caricature is a drawing of something that is based in reality, but you stretch it and exaggerate it.
Right.
Can you skip to 14,
No,
15,
Lightning had
please?
See, by the way, I like that they just defined a caricature or a stereotype. They say it's based in reality, but you stretch it, you overemphasize it.
Yes, it's exaggeration.
It's
Like I
exaggeration.
said, people tended to get that back in the past, but now people choose not to understand that when clearly a number of things like they're talking about are exaggerations.
Yes. Okay, skip where?
14, 15, please. And then
Pick that
play
gay
through
character. There are a lot of black people don't like the Homeboy Shopping Network because they say that perpetuates a negative stereotype.
Right, but see, the other thing too,
Characters are not
that's-
representative of all gays. But they are not representative of all gays. They are two particular men.
Right.
And they're not
If you don't
pretending to be
offend
anything else.
If you don't offend someone in comedy, then you're not doing your job. If everyone...
Hell yeah. Yes. Thank you.
And then one more, if you go to 39:35, there's a good moment. Keenan Ivory Wayans has a good little speech here.
Censorship. I mean, I hate to compare you with Two Live Crew. I mean, I think they're pushing their rights to the limit and all the way to the limit and beyond and abusing the rights we have here. But I mean, you talked a little bit about a censorship. Tell me a little bit about that, what you feel. And
Well, I'd be happy to.
I mean, Two Live Crew as an example, I don't see, when you talk about having rights, I don't think you can push your rights to the limit. It's your right. Right. And it's also each of us as individuals, it's our right whether or not we patronize the Two Live Crew or not. So in that context, I think that censorship is a very dangerous sort of threat to all of our rights. And once you begin with Two Live Crew or anyone, once you start, it only gets worse because now you are starting to give up your rights. And you will wind up keep giving up, and our society won't be what it's intended to be.
We've never what?
we'd never have censorship if people didn't push their rights to the limit. I mean, if they didn't abuse their privileges.
Wrong. We wouldn't have censorship.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a moron.
Yes.
He's awesome. Yeah. He's totally based. Look, I saw someone said about the woman. Shut up, Karen. I just was she wearing a sweatshirt with cats on it?
No, I must miss that probably. Projecting what she is. That's what it is.
What a great clip. Thank you for finding that.
Yeah.
Since you brought that up, I thought maybe we could end on, I know we've talked about this before, but you can never play this too much. Here's another celebrity who I'm shocked hasn't been canceled. And this is from In Living Color.
Yes, I was thinking about this today.
Jim Carrey, guys. Jim Carrey. Here we go.
Kato presents the man of the Middle East, the Elvis of Aqaba, Johnny Abdul. Every amazing hit he's ever sung is now included in this new dual album set. Unforgettable. And if you act now, you'll get Wait a Minute, Mr. Postman, Stairway to Mecca, Beirut Suede Shoes, Heartbreak Hussein, Papa's Got a Brand New Baghdad, I Left My Hand in San Francisco, and who could forget his beautiful love ballad, Love Me Tender or Die Slow.
Gets me every time.
And of course, his biggest hit ever, the show-stopping Iraq Around.
I see the woman in the burqa through her panties. Through her panties. Not the burqa, just the panties. Oh man. Whoo-wee.
Oh, such good times.
Good times.
Hopefully we can get back there.
Oh, the past.
The Wild Wild West. It was just great. And things like that is what just kind of supercharged the time back then, where you felt like there was some kind of movement happening in society. And, you know, as we've covered, not all of it's good. I think there are some seeds planted that kind of blossom into what our culture is today. But there were good things, and I think that it supercharged the environment and the culture at the time and just made things feel more vibrant, more alive now, because things felt expansive compared to now, where things feel like they're contracting because so many people are afraid to say what they want to say or express themselves.
Yes. All of that being said, I had great fun and felt very free to be funny or try to be funny with comedian Peter Feliciano, who's been a guest on Deprogrammed. He has a show called Conservatish. We shot a comedy sketch that the idea was conceived by Mystery Chris, and my husband and I have been editing it the past couple of nights, and I think we're very close to having it finished. I'm very excited, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it. I'm so excited for you to see it, Chris.
You showed me some of it, and it's pretty funny. Right. So yeah.
Did you think it was funny?
Yeah, I can't wait to you premiere it.
Cool.
You need to have set a premiere, have a party or something for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking we have to pick a date. You guys in the chat, maybe we should. I don't know if we should do it on a Wednesday night or do it during the day. Maybe we should do another poll. We should see the results of our poll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have to go look at our results before we leave. Maybe we should do a poll and see what works for everyone, but we want to do like a year celebration, a year of Deprogrammed celebration sometime in March, probably. And we need to pick a date, and we'll have lots of guests, and it'll be fun. We'll just hang out and have a good time. Should it be at night? Probably at night.
Yeah, I think so. Have some drinks and I know you don't drink, but you can have some juice.
I could have some sparkling wine.
Sparkling water.
The results of our poll. Let's see. Jimmy Kimmel won. Which celebrity leftist wore blackface the best? Jimmy Kimmel won with 34%.
Wow.
And Jimmy Fallon was a close second at 31%. And then Sarah Silverman at 25%. And finally, Joy Behar at bringing up the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of surprising. It's funny. I also watched clips of Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon apologizing for the blackface. And Jimmy Fallon, his video is so painful to get through. It's like a hostage
Oh,
video or
no.
something.
Should we watch that before we go? I kind of want to see him groveling.
Okay, play the news clip. It's a short news clip, and it has
Okay.
a clip of each apologizing it. But at one point in there, he says, "I am not a racist," and it reminded me of that politician Christina something, I forget, like 15 years ago, Republican candidate, who she made some comment about dabbling in witchcraft or something, so she had to release a statement saying she wasn't a witch.
I didn't
Do you
see
remember
that.
this?
No, I
This
don't.
is real, and that's what it reminded me of. Like, and it was
I
so
am not a racist. My name is Jimmy Kimmel, and also Jimmy Fallon did blackface, and neither of us are racist, and we love Big Pharma.
Hey, Comics is in the chat, by the way. Hey,
I
Comics.
saw. Hello, Comics Division. So nice to have you here. We're just wrapping up, having a good time laughing at cancel culture people, and played a video earlier tonight of some celebrities like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon in blackface who have not been canceled for some reason, probably because they are on the left, and they also issued groveling apologies like this.
Is apologizing today for wearing blackface back in the 90s, a decision he now says was a mistake.
Jimmy Kimmel is apologizing for appearing in blackface. In this clip from 19 years ago, he's impersonating former NBA star Karl Malone. It aired on Comedy Central's The Man Show, which he co-hosted from 1999 to 2003.
That's called positivity thinking right there.
Kimmel, who announced last week that he's taking the summer off, has been under increasing pressure to respond after the footage resurfaced on social media. There's nothing more important to me than your respect, and I apologize to those who were genuinely hurt or offended by the makeup I wore or the words I spoke, said Kimmel.
I noticed he didn't use the word blackface. I think that's on purpose. He just said, if you were offended by the makeup I wore.
Really dark makeup I wore.
Kimmel says at the time he didn't see it as blackface, but the imitation of a human being. He says he has since matured. Kimmel's apology comes on the heels of his fellow late-night host Jimmy Fallon, who recently begged forgiveness for appearing in blackface on SNL in 2000 to portray comedian Chris Rock.
I realized that I can't not say I'm horrified and I'm sorry and I'm embarrassed.
Meanwhile, Tina Fey is pulling 4 episodes of her popular sitcom 30 Rock that showed blackface. In this episode, John Hamm was in blackface in a scene with Tracy Morgan. Fey is asking all streaming services to yank the episodes, and she also requested that they never again air in syndication. As we strive to do the work and do better in regards to race in America, we believe that these episodes featuring actors in race-changing makeup.
Look,
race-changing makeup.
We talk a lot about. Okay, very good point, Chris. She also doesn't say blackface. They don't want to say the word. Okay, so she says race-changing makeup. That's a great point. The other thing here with her statement is you will see one of the cult phrases here that they all you can tell when someone's in the social justice cult because they all speak the same way and they use the same phrases and they have this social justice lexicon. I used to speak this way. Do the work. Okay, this woman has been brainwashed. As we strive to do the work, I just can't.
So bad. But yeah, if you want to see the full video of him apologizing, you should go watch that sometime and cringe all throughout. It's so bad.
So bad. Well, thank you for suggesting this topic tonight. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very, very fun. Helped me deal with my trauma, having to face HR department, and I apologized to white person. They didn't make me apologize. Actually, that was nice.
But they made you go back through the DEI training. That's
yes,
awful.
yes. They forced me to get re-educated. So
I cannot wait for you to get out of that gig. Like, I can't wait. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that. But again, funny stories.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Coworkers tell me they're funny and they're all shocked. So
I'm not kidding. I hope you come up with something really good for Women's History Month. Just think about it.
Boy, I can't. It's just if I want to risk it.
Just push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
We have one more super chat. And I'll make sure there aren't any others I missed. Pirate Tomsky for £5. I believe he's already gone to bed. The pirate. He said, Keri and hubby sat on the porch in Texas talking about blackface equals every woke person's wet dream. That's what they think we do in Texas. And then the fractured filter. I just wanted to address this. Says for a cancel culture body count, how about more to look for the little people that got mob sicked after them during Gamergate who weren't celebs to weather the storms. Yeah, that wouldn't have really worked for this episode because we wanted to highlight controversies and celebrities and companies and stuff that people knew about, both those who were canceled and those who weren't. But if you go back through the archives here at Deprogrammed, one of the things I do with my interviews on Thursdays is I do talk to a lot of people, knitters, sewists, and people in dance, comics, comic books, and other parts of culture who have been canceled. And those are not sometimes well-known names. And so that's what we try to do on Thursdays during the interviews. And then you get to hear from those people directly. If you think there's someone in Gamergate that I should interview, please send me a recommendation. You can email me at deprogrammedpod@gmail.com. Thank you. What else? Anything else, Mystery Chris?
Nah, I ain't got nothing.
Is your headache gone?
Not entirely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for powering through.
It's all good. It's fun. Thank you, chat.
It was. Thank you, chat. Thanks for hanging out. And SC DeGrand says, I'm 7 minutes behind live. It seems like we're wrapping up. If you guys are still going, I just want to say it was a great show. Lots of laughs. Good. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow. Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay. We're going to wrap it up. I hope you have a good evening. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm gonna go then! And I don't need any of this! I don't need this